Hello everyone, I am Ningambika Ji, Assistant Professor, Department of MBA, Sai Vidya Institute of Technology. I am here to talk about consumer behavior, that is Unit 1. In my previous video, we talked about who is consumer, who is customer. So, what is the meaning of consumer behavior, nature of consumer, and nature of Indian customer. So, we talked about it in the previous video. Today, I'll be talking about furthermore topics of the consumer behavior. What is consumerism, rights of consumerism, and what are the responsibilities of consumers. We'll talk about in this video. Okay. So before getting into the in detail about the consumerism, first let us understand the meaning of consumerism. So consumerism is a social movement and government agencies to improve the buyer's right and powers in relation by sellers. So in order to create the awareness in the mindset of the consumer, like if someone is cheating the product which is of 5 rupees, they overprice it and sell it to the other person with unknowing the knowledge of the consumer. So in order to not to get cheated, not to get it stuck in between purchasing the product to the consumer, the government has came into existence to take care of the consumers, buyers' rights and powers in relation by sellers. So this is an initiative taken by the government agencies in order to safeguard the consumer. So consumerism is basically directing the market now to be a buyer's market instead of being seller's market. So they concentrate more on the both on the consumer prospect and also to the buyer prospect. They keep the track each and everything how the things are working out. If someone is get cheated, they can go and talk to the Consumer Protection Act says that if the person is get cheated, they can go and put a case, sue them also based on the Consumer Protection Act. Hence, there was no powerful effective consumer organization working in the favor of the rights of the consumer. That's the reason the consumerism came into existence. Earlier, they were only concentrating on the buyer's prospect, seller's prospect, and also not concentrating more of the end user of the product. They are also called as consumers, right? So we have talked about it in the previous class. So this is the meaning of the consumerism. So next, consumerism is also credited with the movement towards consumer protection. So as the title only says, consumerism, it is concentrating more on the consumer in order to help them, in order to give a protection to them when they're buying the products. So and also to create the safety standards and truthful packaging advertisement to the consumers. So whatever the product they purchase, it should have a proper protection and also it should have a proper truthful packaging and advertisement in terms of safety and standards. Then the consumers will not get cheated, and that's the reason the law has came into existence. So consumerism refer to in the general meaning, consumerism refer to protection of consumer interest towards purchase of consumer goods and services. So this is the criteria created by the government agencies in order to create a protection of consumer interest towards purchase of goods and services. Examples like toothpaste advertisement, X perfume advertisements, chips packet filled with air, etc. So these are the some of the examples of consumerism. So now we got to know the meaning of consumerism. So let us understand what are the rights of consumer in India. The first one is right to choose. So what does the choose says? It is nothing but selecting the particular product what the consumer actually required in terms of its taste and preferences, in terms of characteristics, what exactly the consumer wanted, he can purchase it. That is the meaning what we can understand from the title. Let us understand in detail what does it mean. Means right to be assured wherever possible of access of variety of goods and services at a competitive price. So whatever the goods the consumer want, he can purchase with the whatever the price in the market. In case of monopolies are the single sellers. It means right to be assured of a satisfactory quality and services at a fair price. Even though he is a monopoly, but try to sell the product in such a way that the quality is satisfactory and the services rendered to the consumer should be at the fair price, not too high, not too less. It should be in the fair price of the product. It also includes right to basic goods and services. So whatever the basic goods required for a consumer, it should be given in the lesser price such that it can reach to the all consumer. This is because unrestricted right of the minority to choose can mean a denial for the majority of its fair share. So in order to give the this particular benefit, The government has created a majority of its shares should be reach to the as much as consumer can purchase it or as much as the consumer group can purchase. So this right can be better exercised in competitive market where variety of goods are available at competitive price. So lots and lots of options you will get in the market, but with the competitive price, which is can be purchased with the fair prices if they have want to choose any particular product. If you see, if you want to purchase any particular mobile, if you see in the market there are variety of options, variety of brands. In the brands you have different models. Yes, so all having a competitive price, but the consumer has the right to choose whichever is suitable for him based on his budget, based on his taste and preferences. He can go and purchase the product. So that says about the right to choose. This is the first right of a consumer. Second one, right to safety. It means right to be protected against the marketing of goods and services. So whatever the goods and services sold by the seller, it should reach the consumer without any restrictions, without any ups and downs, without any dangerous product that is also called as hazardous to life and property. So if we can see at the time of Deepavali festival, we can see many crackers will be there, which is even though it is dangerous to the consumers, they purchase the product, but the quality should be maintained such that there is no problem to a consumer when they make use of it. There was a cases happened almost 10 years before when they lighting the flower pocket, sorry, when they were lighting the cracker, it got bursted on his face. That is flower pocket, right? When they were doing it, it bursted on the consumer's face itself. So there was a issue happened. The Consumerism Act came into existence, and they sued them whoever the company has prepared those type of products. Yes, so this is all say about the right to safety given to the consumer. The purchased goods and services availed of should not only meet their immediate needs but also fulfill long-term interest. Before purchasing, consumer should insist on the quality of the product and services. Before you are trying to sell the product to the consumers, make sure the quality of the product should be maintained or provide some guarantee to the products and services such that the consumers will get attracted and they can buy the product in a better way. They should preferably purchase qualities like which having a ISI mark, UG mark that shows that this product is quality oriented and the quality has been checked and they can purchase only those type of product. If you can see there are so many quality mark product can be seen when you purchase a product. When you see when you want to purchase a product, food and all, FSSI mark will be there. And when you go for a any type of water bottle or something, you can see ISI marks. So that is the one which is indicating the quality product issued to the ultimate consumer. And the next one is right to be informed. So right to be informed says about that about the quality, quantity, purity, standard, price of goods should be informed or it should be sold in a proper price, not with the unfair judgment or something. So it should be informed to the consumer and that should be checked twice more when you are selling the product to the consumer. So consumers should insist on getting all the information about the product or services before making a choice or a decision. Yes, I wanted to purchase a mobile recently. So as a consumer, what I'll do, I try to gather as many as information required for me to purchase a product. So I might gather the information about a particular brand, what is the price, what is the characteristics, what are my tastes and preferences. So all these details can be, I have a right to collect the information about it such that I will be not get cheated in the future. So this will enable him to act wisely and responsibly and also enable him to desist from failing prey to high pressure selling techniques. So by this way, he cannot get cheated or he will not be pressured by any of the selling techniques in the market. So that is the third point explains about the right to be informed about to a consumer. And the next one is right to be heard. So when you are having a patience to inform about it and also the consumer rights should be heard better. So it means the consumer interest will receive due consideration at appropriate forums. So whatever the consumer considerations are there, they can talk in a preferable forums. It also includes right to be represented in various forums formed to consider the consumer's welfare. So whatever the consumer's welfare benefits are there, if he is get cheated from any of the product or any of the company with their brands, so he has the right to sue them with the Consumer Protection Act, and they can go and talk about it clearly. So that's the reason they say the consumer has the right to be heard and right to be talk about it. The consumer should form a non-political and non-commercial consumer organization which can be given representation in various committees. These are the committees basically formed by the government in order to put a case against the whatever things has happened and other bodies in matters of relating to consumer. So whatever the requirement of the consumer and whatever the needs of the consumer as it is analyzed, it also have the right to discuss about what they want to talk about the product. Either the product has been good facilities or the negative facilities has it. If he is got cheated, he has the whole right to talk about it. This is all about the right to be heard. And the next point is right to complaint. So it means right to seek redress against unfair trade practices. So consumers should be aware of the unfair trade practices like purchasing the product in a very lesser price without tax applicable. Right? There are some people who sell the products behind the market itself. So they are not according to the fair judgment. They might got the product from a third party, which is not the actual party. It is just a mirror image of that product, and they try to sell it. But people assume that it is a silver or a gold item, and they purchase it. That is again unfair trade practices, right? So the consumer may not be aware of the product, but be very careful as a consumer. You need to cross check the product whether the product is true or not. Is it the real or not, or is it the some artificial product or what? It should be clearly understood, and the consumer has the right to complain against it if the product is not true. So consumer must make a complaint for the genuine grievances. So whatever the difficulties, whatever the ups and downs are there, so whatever the grievances are there, consumer has the right to talk about it and make a complaint in the particular platform or a forum which is formed by the government in order to support the consumer. So they can also take the help of consumer organization. Some of the consumer organization, such just now we learned about it, the committee formed by a government in order to take care of the consumer, right? Protection against the consumer products. So those forum you can go and tell about the difficulties or a grievance has happened. This says about the right to complaint. And the next one is right to consumer education, educating the consumer, acquiring the knowledge and skill to be an informed consumer throughout life. So whatever the knowledge is all required for a purchase a particular product, the consumer should aware of it, or you try to make him and understand about the education about this particular product in terms of knowledge and skill. So they should only know their rights and must exercise them. Not only understanding the right, but they should put into the it should put into the execution form. So only then real consumer protection can be achieved with the proper success. So educating them and making them to understand why this right is important and putting them into action is more important. Then only the consumer protection can be achieved with the proper success. And the next one is right to basic needs. So right to basic needs, what are the basic needs? Food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, education, sanitization, and further things are the basic needs which is mandatory for each and every human being. So with this right, consumer can look forward to the availability of basic amenities and prime commodities to affordable price and good quality. With the affordable price and good quality, he can purchase the product with the proper requirement with the fair judgment or fair price. And the next one is right to healthy and safe environment. So wherever the person belong, wherever the consumer stay, he should have a proper safety when he is trying to make any decision. So it encompasses the environmental dimensions of the right to life, health, food, water, sanitation. There is shouldn't be a discrimination among them, irrespective of whichever caste, creed, or consumers are consumers, irrespective of whichever. Other person also give the money and purchase the product, and this person also give the money and purchase the product. So the caste, creed, and the way that they say doesn't matter when they are purchasing the product. So whatever the product they are purchasing, it should be healthy enough, which is not to be hazardous or harmonious to the consumer. So this is all about the rights of the consumers in India. And the next point is responsibility of consumers in India. So when we know about the rights, some of the responsibilities should be taken by the consumer. So which are they? There are four rights, a responsibility of a consumer which should be taken care. The first one is responsibility of self-help. Self-help is nothing but a consumer should take care of himself. That is the title meaning. We'll understand the meaning later. Proof of transactions, proper claim, proper use of products and services. So these are the four responsibilities of the consumer. The very first one is responsibility of self-help. It is always desirable that a consumer should not depend on the seller for all the information. So if you are a consumer, you want to buy the product, make a back end work about that particular product. It might be electronic goods, it might be a normal product, or it might be any kind of a clothes or something. So he shouldn't always depend on the seller. He, as a consumer, he should take care of himself in order to judge or in order to make a decision and make a choice. So don't depend everything on the seller. Try to help yourself to analyze the product or try to do the back end work in order to gather as much as information as possible. Try to gain it, then you can purchase the product easily. So those information will help you to make decision easily than going more concentrating on the seller. That is the first responsibility of a consumer. Second one is proof of transaction. So the second responsibility of a consumer is to maintain documents relating to purchase of durable goods and services. So if you are purchasing any product in a shop, don't forget to collect the proof of transaction. It is nothing but the bill or invoice. It should be maintained properly such that if something goes wrong in the future, you can make utilize of that particular product and you can also complain in the forums too. It is important of a consumer to make use of proper documents when they purchase anything. So that is mandatory if they are purchasing any product in the market. Make sure you try to maintain the proper bill that will help him to claim in the future if the product is not real or it is a duplicate product out of it. The third responsibility is proper claim. The consumer should always remind what that when they claim or complain, they should make sure that proper claim is done and should not make loss for any company. So if there is any requirement of a consumer, there should be a claim can be made. If the product whatever the consumer is purchased, it is not up to the mark or it is not up to the mark, or if it is again cheated, he has all the rights to claim on that particular product. So for example, if you can see, if they purchase any of the product like uh, kitchen based products like fridge or rice cookers, they have a warranty of 1 or 2 years. So which says that if the product is not covered in the plan, then they can go and use the warranties in the future. So the consumer should always remind that when they claim or a complaint, they should make sure the proper claim is done and it shouldn't make any loss for him. Fourth one is proper use of products or services. So before using any of the product, the consumer should see the product clearly and read out the instructions given in the particular product. So this basically happens in the electronic goods like washing machine. So they'll be giving the instruction how to fix it, how to make use of the product, and how do you run the product. So all the data should be clearly maintained. This is the responsibility of a consumer to be maintained in a better way through the prescription and use the product or services such that there will be no problem in the future. So these are the responsibilities of a consumer, and the last one is benefits of consumerism. So what are the benefits of consumerism? To stop unfair trade practices. If there is any trade practices which is not fair enough, the consumerism will help the consumer to provide complete and latest information. So whatever the information updation required when they are buying a particular product or if they have any claims or something, all the time consumerism will be there in order to help them to discourage antisocial activities to implementation of consumer protection law. So if there is any antisocial activities are there, then they can stop it by using the consumerism and implementation of consumer protection law. Wherever the consumer protection law is required, it is always there to protect the consumer in order to safeguard them, protect against exploitation, higher growth rate economy. If there is any exploitation assets, the consumer always there to protect the consumerism. Consumerism is always there to protect the consumer, and higher growth rate can be initiated or done by the consumerism. When you're making the product to be sold in a right way, the growth will go in a better direction. So more comfort for better living style and increased production. So for better living style, consumerism always there to help the consumer. If they are cheated, always they have a right to claim against it and get benefited out of it. And increases production, right product should be purchased with the right manufacturing, then the production also will go high, the consumer also buy the product in a better way, that increases the productivity. So cost reduction encourage, as much as possible the cost can be reduced. By that way, consumer price also will be in the fair way only, fair judgment only. So it also boosts creativity and innovation. It weeds out poor performance naturally. So if there is any creative in the mindset of the seller, that can be supported by the consumerism, and that will help you them to lead to the higher heights. And if there is any poor performance or if they are cheated, consumerism always there to stop the sellers and make them put into the right direction. So these are the things which I have learned in the unit 1, that is benefits of consumerism. Thank you students, thanks for watching it. Have a very good day. Thank you.